Hello and welcome to Don't Ask When. This is episode number 8. We've been off for a little while, so we're going to let you guys know what we've been up to in the downtime. And so, because it's been a while, let's just get started. So, let's go into August. In August is the month where I typically take a break. I went home to my parents. As you guys know, building hardware is hard, funding for hardware is even harder, and sometimes you just need to take some time off. I also moved across town to a different part of LA, which is why the background and the setup here is a little bit different. So that's basically everything that happened in August. September, I attended Jason Calacanis' Founder University in San Francisco. For those of you guys who don't know about Jason Calacanis, he does This Week in Startups. He's also an early investor in Facebook, Uber, and I believe Peloton. It was really cool experience. It was nice to meet with a bunch of other investors. There were a lot of investors from a different underrepresented groups, women, African Americans, Latinos, GLBT, and it was really cool for us to sort of exchange war stories and sort of see each other's successes, failures, and learn from each other. Also in that month, this was the month where we started sending out notices about companies that were infringing on our IP. The IP is one of the most valuable things that we have as a company here at LaForge, and it's something that we take very seriously. But then things got interesting the next month in October. In October, I think it was a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, I had a bike accident not that far from my house. I used to ride motorcycles, so it wasn't a motorcycle accident, it was actually on a bicycle. I slipped off my bike, fell, and injured myself quite a bit to the point where I couldn't walk for a couple weeks because it triggered my sciatica. So for those of you who are not familiar with sciatica, it's basically a form of lower back pain where a nerve gets a little too close to the bones. And basically my life for a couple weeks was in excruciating pain, and I kind of had to maneuver myself sort of like that scene from Wolf of Wall Street when the lewds kind of hit in. So it took me a while to recover from that, not only physically but mentally. And so that's why the updates had kind of stopped for a bit. It was a break followed by an accident. We were also still dealing with some legal stuff with the companies I mentioned on the IP side as well. So in November, we actually reached a settlement with one of the companies that we were having an IP issue with, which is really great for anyone who's ever had to be on the if you don't do X, I'm going to sue you side of the thing. That can be very, very stressful, but again, it's something that we have to do as a company from time to time because people, let's just say, try it, or people think they're a little clever. We also began digging a bit deeper into planning for beta. As you guys know, we're slowly shipping out alphas and different samples. Alphas are mostly around manufacturing and logistics, and just some very initial trials on the lenses. Beta is where things start to get really interesting. We start activating some things on chipsets. We start getting deeper into software development. So we were continuing into the planning phase of that. Another discovery that came out of that was that part of our chipset was part of the Huawei ban, which kind of sucks, candidly. And so this has led us to have to do a redesign of the chipset that we had created a little over a year ago, or maybe it's been a couple years now, and updating that with content that is not Huawei based for one, two, not based on any of Huawei's subsidiaries. That's kind of where we got caught up with it. But then also things that are maybe more, that have more American chip makers or European chip makers. So in this case, it's looking like we'll be looking at either a European chipset or maybe a Korean one. It just kind of depends on what happens, because we've had some new developments just this month. December's always a slow month. I stopped fundraising because it's kind of pointless. Family offices and wealthy folks tend to go on vacation, meet up with their families, things like that. But also in that, December was just kind of a bit of a wash. It's only half a month long, so not that much stuff got done in December. When it comes to January this month, we attended CES. It was really cool to see some demos. I went out there with some of my startup friends who are based here in LA and some that are based in the Bay Area. Of the headsets I saw out there, I was quite impressed with the one by Nreal. And I say is impressed because I don't know how much money that they've put into that project, but I know it was nowhere near the billions of dollars that was put into Magic Leap's product. And I can tell you, it's very comparable to a Magic Leap in terms of its ability to track objects. It's not as good, but it's close enough to where I don't think most people would actually care. At least at that time, and maybe still now, I didn't know anything about pricing. But again, I was quite impressed with that. While at CES, again, I got to meet a lot of entrepreneurs and ran into people that I had met overseas in China, some over in Europe, and some from back in the original days when I was in Boston. While I was there, I lost my voice and got sick. And then 4 days later, I lost my voice again and got sick again. And so that's why this update is occurring at the towards the end of January rather than at the beginning, like I wanted. So let's talk about what's most important, maybe what people care about, which is what's next. So as you guys know, I stopped talking too much about things that are in the distant future. And really wanted to talk about things that are a little bit nearer term. And I did that because some people, not everybody, tend to hang on to every single word. They don't understand that these things are sort of contingent on existing relationships, staying as existing relationships, certain partnerships working out, and then also depending on like the development path or the rate of technology progression actually being constant. That's a way too complex way of just saying that we don't make predictions too far in the future because things can kind of change at any time. We did, over the course of the past season, run into a small cohorts of investors who are interested and partners who want to put some serious money to accelerate things. For those of you guys who have never raised funds for a startup, it is very, very difficult. It's highly competitive. And it's a strange matrix of what you know, who you know, and how good are you at what you're doing. So in order to really accelerate things, what I chose to do a few months ago is to stop focusing so heavily on production because we kept running into problems that were getting increasingly expensive, which would cause us to do a lot of contingency planning and then contingency planning for contingencies. And instead say, hey, let's just bring in a few $1 million or $1 million more from some investors. And that's what we're doing. So right now we're developing some really cool software demos that showcase some AI applications. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with AI, it's artificial intelligence. Some people call it machine learning. Some people call it computer vision. It's, AI is one of those squishy words. But basically, we're going to do that and show off some impressive camera tech. The goal for us this year is to do more demos, and be more visible at certain events. It's not really so much for the skeptics. It's more so just to say that we've matured the technology and we're far enough along in development to where we're actually becoming increasingly comfortable with showing more people in public with what it is we're doing. Though many of you all are familiar with what the word alpha is, what beta is, and what a prototype is, I've run into situations where people thought alpha was the name of the product or beta was the name of the product. People think that some people think a prototype is something that's completely finished or, basically, within 2 weeks of being done. Other people think a prototype is some janky, cobbled together thing. It really just depends on what it is. So what's next for us is a big push on software demos, a big push on updating the aesthetic design of what we're doing. Because again, based on what I showed you guys when we were last on here with the spinning glasses, we've actually been able to tweak that even more, get it even thinner. And I'm very confident based on conversations we've had with new designers that we will be able to get it to where these are indistinguishable from a conventional pair of glasses or sunglasses. And we also are in talks with increasing the number of frame styles that we're going to offer as well. Are we going to offer all those frame styles at launch? Probably not. We'll probably start with half a dozen and slowly increase it. That's about as much as I want to go into the future, but what I can say is that we have some really cool partnerships that we're just basically a week or two away from being able to talk about with some really nice design firms. And there's a couple of really big things that are going on in the background in regards to the types of investors and the types of companies that are interested in investing with us, in partnering with us, and in certain cases, even becoming our customers. So when we talk about this stuff that's big and going on in the background, it's not just we're saying it, but we're not saying the names because there's no one there. We say it because things are delicate, and this is how business gets done. No company wants to reveal what their competitive edge is to their competitor. I think everyone can be familiar with that, particularly if you're a business owner. And the other thing too is that our IP position is very strong, and we've been able to leverage that to get some money from larger companies, and we're leveraging that in a variety of ways. So be it lawsuit, be it partnership, be it investment, it's really coming out to see that our IP portfolio, along with the company being run by a passionate founder, is really starting to have things break in our favor. So again, I do apologize for the long 6-month break between this, but as I tell people, when there's a big break between it, it typically means that it doesn't mean that the project is dead or anything like that. It typically means that I needed a break and we were very busy. And in this case, I needed a break. I took a break. We were very busy. I had a bike accident, couldn't walk for a while. And all these things can kind of make things jam up. So next month, I'll be up in New York is the plan for a couple weeks, doing some investor meet and greets, talking to a variety of partners and doing some demos there. And I'm going to do something a little different. I'm actually going to just record this and bring all this equipment with me. And so you guys can see what it's like behind the scenes, who we talk to. Some people, of course, I can't tell you who we're talking to, but the ones who we're not under NDA with are the ones who are a bit more open. We'll just kind of show you that. So you guys will get to see what it's like to run a company that's raised some money in hardware. And you'll see what it's like over the coming year as we get closer and closer to what it is. So as I say before, and I'll say it again, I really do appreciate everyone's patience with us. This has taken a very long time, much longer, literally about twice as long as I thought it was going to take. But things are breaking in our favor, and I'm just very appreciative for the support. For those of you all who reached out to me over text message, Skype, LinkedIn, and others to ask, hey, Corey, what was going on? And you found out that I was actually injured. I really do appreciate you guys, one, checking in on me. Being a startup entrepreneur is very lonely, very isolating. And two, thank you guys for the well wishes. So basically what I'm going to do very soon is go back to the chiropractor, have them work on my back some more, do some stretches. But again, I will be back up in the air flying again next month. Thank you guys, and God bless.